Okay. Hi, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Oh, wait. Let me stop doing my ASMR clicking. Hi, YouTube. We are back with some more reading. And by that, I mean specifically reading more of The Patchwork Girl of Oz by L. Frank Baum, which is book number 7 in the Wizard of Oz series. Hi, Buddha and Sean over on YouTube. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Yeah, for any Twitch viewers, although I'm not, let the record show I am not asking anyone to leave Twitch to go to YouTube. If you have the ability to open up the YouTube channel like in another window, that helps towards my watch hours to unlocking the partner program over on YouTube. So very much appreciated if you're able to do it. If you're not able to, or just that would make you irate to see like 2 of my face, I totally get it. No worries. Let me pin that comment. Thank you, Sean. Yes, there is a comment pinned at the top of each of the chats where you can download this book from Project Gutenberg for absolutely free in like a whole bunch of different formats. And also you can just open it in a browser tab if you want. You don't want to download it and you want to read along with me. Project Gutenberg is fucking amazing. It's totally free resource of public domain books. So there you go. Oh my goodness, Artax over on the YouTube as well. Thank you, thank you. I do appreciate it. God bless Project Gutenberg. Project Gutenberg is an amazing resource. That one is specifically for American public domain copyright laws. There is a different Project Gutenberg for Canada that has some things that you won't find on the main one. But pretty much everything we read here is going to be in the American one anyway, so. And it's a cleaner site, I find. Even if you don't keep the window open, if you hit the like and subscribe. Yes, Jane, that is a lovely point. Those things all help out. I'm very new still to this whole YouTube thing. We're making very slow progress with it. But I really, really appreciate everyone who's helping in all those little ways, even if it's just, yeah, hitting that thumbs up or opening another window. Oh my goodness. DJ, thank you for the 2 laughing horse combos. I'm noticing, oh, okay. The Twitch combos do not show up on the multi-activity feed. Which makes sense, it's a new beta feature, so. American copyright has been projected all over the planet and is among the strictest. I know, and it pisses me off, man. I was so, like, proud of Canada that we had a shorter copyright law. And then Canada has changed it. It's now the same as America. But in that window of time when we had a shorter copyright law, some books came into the public domain in Canada. And when Canada changed the rules, even though some of those books are still not in the public domain in America, they were like grandfathered into the public domain in Canada, which is why there is a separate site for some of those. Is Gremlins a Christmas movie? I'm gonna be so honest with you. I haven't watched Gremlins since I was like 5 years old, and it was the most horrific thing I ever saw, and it gave me nightmares for years. So I don't remember if there's anything Christmassy. I think there is a Christmassy thing about it. But mostly I remember being terrified. And I remember the blender scene. I should watch it again. Probably. You know, face my childhood monsters. Yeah, don't feed them after midnight. Don't get them wet. Yeah. Misty Maps, welcome in. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome. Hi Dermo, good to see you. Holy moly. Hello. Gremlins is as much a Christmas movie as Die Hard. Okay, alright. You guys, make sure you are dropping a follow for Misty Maps. Oh my god, how was your stream tonight? What were you guys getting up to? Gremlins talk, apparently. Sorry, they're going through something. Hello. Hey, Wheel, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Misty Maps. Were you guys doing ASMR over there? If any of you are here for the first time, hello, I'm Faolkor. We do a mixture here of soft-spoken, chatty, traditional ASMR, and also reading content. And actually, you've come in at a wonderful time. We're about to start the reading section. It was chatty and fun, and then you knocked everyone out with echo at the end. Heck yeah. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Oh, cloud cam. You can't really see them from this angle. Yes, I have pigs. I have pigs and they're kind of noisy lately. I remember Gizmo being very cute. Yeah, ASMR. Yeah, we're gonna be getting into reading. We're still in the ASMR section over on Twitch. I'm also live on my YouTube channel right now for the reading portion. And then, assuming I'm not in too much pain by the end of that, we will do more like dedicated ASMR triggers afterwards. So we keep it cozy the whole time, but the ASMR triggers are paused during the reading portion, and then we open that up afterwards. But yes, thank you so much, Misty, for the raid. Really appreciate it. So awesome to have you guys here. Battery Dead, thank you for the follow. Yeah, you guys make sure you're following Misty, and Misty, please feel free to hang out or raid and run, whatever you need to do. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself after your own stream. We are reading. There's Nim blasting off. We are reading one of the books in the Wizard of Oz series. We've been making our way through the Wizard of Oz series over the past year. We don't read them back to back because that's just too much L. Frank Baum. Nobody needs that or wants that. You were gonna read them recently? Oh my god, okay. You're in for something. Gonna grab a snack and then lurk. Amazing, thank you. Buddha, thank you for the 100 biddies. And Stroll, thank you for the follow. They are really weird. You can get them for free on Kindle. Yeah, or if you look at the comment pinned at the top of chat, there is a link to where you can download it for free from Project Gutenberg, including in Kindle format. So, whichever you'd prefer. But yeah, it is in the public domain, so they are absolutely free. This is book number 7. What you need to understand, okay, let me give a little bit of context. L. Frank Baum wanted to write an American fairy tale, hence writing The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Show bingo, yes. I'll get there, hold on. And he did, and it was a hit, and he wrote a couple more, and they were hits. And then he got so sick of writing them. And in book number 6, he tries to round off the whole series. He's obviously, by book number 6, you can like feel his resentment in the writing. And so he ended, like he wrapped up number 6 with basically the world of Oz is now separated from communication with the rest of the world. There will be no more Oz stories. He starts this one by being like, I had so many people ask me, so I got a message to Dorothy, who's living permanently in Oz now, and now I can tell you some stories from Oz. Sean, thank you for the 200. Thank you. The real story is that within those couple of years between book 6 and 7, Baum had to declare bankruptcy and was kind of forced to write another Oz book just to make some money. He was not happy about it. Okay, so in this story, our main crew are Ojo, aka Ojo the Unlucky, a munchkin boy who has grown up in isolation. Scraps, a patchwork doll who was brought to life by some illegally made powder of life by the Crooked Wizard. Bungle, a glass cat who was brought to life in the same way. The Woozy, who basically is like if you used cardboard boxes and tried to build a horse out of them, except blue, and he has 3 hairs at the end of his tail, and he's joined in. Oh, and he can shoot fire from his eyeballs. They met up with the Shaggy Man, who's a previous character who is very questionable and has like a penchant of abducting children, but it's framed as if it's this really adorable thing, but actually he like keeps kidnapping, which is very worrisome. Sinchovi, thank you for the T1 sub. Thank you so much. How's it going, Sinchovi? It's good to see you. And they have just met the Scarecrow. Yes, that Scarecrow, who instantly gets like very piqued with interest for Scraps. There's like a definite vibe between them. Yeah. They are on their way, in fact, just arriving at the Emerald City. They've traveled through the Munchkin land. And Ojo, who was such a sweet kid for like all the books so far, just in the last chapter that we read, suddenly has turned into a little brat and misogynist. He needs to pick a 6-leaf clover. And his companions are like, it's illegal. We're literally walking up to the Emerald City. Ask Ozma, get her permission first. And he's like, why should I listen to a girl? So we've got those vibes going on. Hi, Devreen. So something we do here, because we have read 6 previous Oz books, is that we've started to pick up on some of what L. Frank Baum is throwing down. And to commemorate this, we've started playing Wizard of Oz bingo whenever we read an Oz book. And let me bring that up. Here. Oh, okay. Sorry, not a very good. There we go. There we go. We are getting pretty close to bingos. If we get some sussy mind control, we've got a bingo. If we get some queer undertones, we've got a bingo. If we've got the love magnet interfering in some way and the Kansas family being rude, that's a bingo, because Dorothy and Uncle Henry and Auntie Em are all living permanently in Oz right now because they, much like L. Frank Baum, went bankrupt and lost their farm. And Dorothy's like, I'm a princess. And then if we get a dead horse or someone getting dead named or misgendered, that's also a bingo. Yes, so far we have ticked off people being mean for no reason. Bill being just fucking best. Horrors beyond comprehension. Nonchalance at taking away bodily autonomy. Fat babies. A new talking animal being introduced. Retconning canon events. Friends being mean to each other for no reason. And the threat of or attempt at execution. So that's where we're at. Bill as in Bill the hen, whom Dorothy insists on calling Bellina because Bill's not a girl's name. Sorry, Dorothy. I miss Chloe. Oh my goodness, hello. There is a character called the Hungry Tiger in these books, and like almost every book he makes like a cameo appearance and just talks about how all he wants in the world is to eat fat babies, but that he won't because it's like morally wrong, and also he'd be hungry again soon, so it's just not worth it. Oz is a rough place. It's pretty weird. People are really mean to each other. Oh my goodness, another raid. Pageant check. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome. Somehow this has morphed into this false lore that I want to eat fat babies. We did check off fat babies, yeah. Boonja boy, hello, welcome in. Hello. Pageant chick, thank you so much. How was your stream? What were you guys getting up to tonight? I want to eat fat babies. This one, to be fair, the Hungry Tiger himself hasn't appeared yet. But wait, was it the Shaggy Man that sang a song that included the Hungry Tiger? And he sang about how the Hungry Tiger wants to eat fat babies. Yeah. Pageant chick, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Hello. You have come in at a wonderful time, Raiders. I am Faolkor, and we do a mixture of soft-spoken, chatty, traditional ASMR, like a cozy hangout, usually with traditional triggers, which are paused at the moment because we also do reading pretty much every stream, and we are just getting into the reading portion of our stream, and we are reading book number 7 in the Wizard of Oz series, and I was just explaining how it's absolutely bonker balls. Sing it again to remind us. I shan't. Says the one who's eating fat baby mush on camera. Look! Those are gourmet babies. Hi, Shiver. Hello. The free space should be L. Frank Baum is a misogynist. Yeah. True. Okay. Well, so we are going to... The musical recap should not be a thing. That's the other thing I hate L. Frank Baum for. He makes me sing every book. You love reading? Oh my god. Yay! Well, we do a lot of reading here. We usually spend like 1 to 2 hours in the middle of each stream reading. So, yay! Oh my goodness. Hey, Wheel! Thank you for gifting a sub to Pageant Chick. Pageant Chick, what were you streaming? What were you guys getting up to tonight? It's so nice to meet you. For reference, we bounce around between genres. We just finished 2 months of reading classic horror. Over September, October is always spooky season here, because 1 month is not enough when you're reading books. So we just did a bunch of classic horror and kind of like gothic mystery stories. So then we're like, let's break this up with a really silly Oz book, and then we'll read something probably. Well, we will read something different next. The faint sound of the fan. It's my PC. Yeah. I'm actually thinking of maybe moving it under my desk to make it a little less loud. I don't mind it too much, and I like white noises as well, but it blows pretty hard sometimes. Tabreen! Oh my goodness, Tabreen! Thank you so much for dropping your Prime here. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You love the sound? Like, luckily it is a nice sound. But yeah, this is like not even it blowing at its loudest, so. Yeah. You should shut it down and clean out the dust every month or so. I do. Yep. Yep. I do dust it. Yeah, I think it was it DJ that sent me like a battery powered one so that I don't have to keep getting cans. Anyways, yes, we are playing Oz Bingo as well. We are also watching this over on my YouTube channel. And then once we're done reading, we will do some more ASMR and open up the redeems and everything. So, okay. Reminder for the newest readers that if you'd like to read along with me, there is a comment pinned in chat, and you can open the book in a browser tab or download it as a Kindle or a PDF or other things. So, for free. For absolutely free. So, if you would like to. Okay. Alright. Let's do it, you guys. I'm gonna turn this off, but we will bring it up between chapters and see if we've ticked off any new things. Also buckle up because we've got some weird pictures in this book. You are streaming ASMR, but you're very new and very basic with just the Blue Yeti. Been streaming from your kitchen table for the longest. Oh my goodness. Well, look, I pretty much only stream with the Blue Yeti as well. So, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Let me drop you a follow. That's awesome though. Well, I'm excited to check out your stuff. You know what? Like that's like a normal, like, dude, I see so many people have the craziest setups. I still need to get my other microphone working. But I basically just use this. Actually, let me change the settings for reading. There we go. Because I speak a little bit louder. I'm not going to be shouting at you, but I do speak a little bit louder during the reading portion, just so that I can get a wider range of voices and inflections and things. Can we see the Patchwork Girl, please? Well, here's a picture of Ojo and the Patchwork Girl. Thanks for the follow, Lizard Butt. Dude, people have the craziest setups. I get it. And I know nothing about sound stuff, and it's very overwhelming. There's a lot of learning curves. There's a lot. This is the Patchwork Girl and Ojo. Oops. Grabbed the wrong thing there. So, like, I feel like Ojo's expression kind of captures how we all feel when we're reading this. Alright. Okay, so remember in the previous chapter, they met the Scarecrow. Ojo wanted to break the law by picking, or at least hunting, for a 6-leaf clover. He got mad because Ozma's a girl and he's not allowed to. Patchwork Girl has Jane energy? What the fuck are you saying? Excuse me? Jane, you have permission to bonk Hate Wheel. We voted. The Patchwork Girl is what had us tick off horrors beyond comprehension. She is very kind, yeah. Okay. This is chapter 14. Ojo breaks the law. Oh, Ojo, what are you doing? What a queer man, remarked the Munchkin boy, when the party had resumed its journey. And so nice and polite, added Scraps, bobbing her head. I think he is the handsomest man I've seen since I came to life.
Oh, handsome is as handsome does,
quoted the Shaky Man.
We must admit that no living scarecrow is handsomer. The chief merit of my friend is that he is a great thinker, and in Oz, it is considered good policy to follow his advice.
I didn't notice any brains in his head, observed the Glass Cat.
Well, you can't see him work, but they're there all right, declared the Shaky Man. Why, I hadn't much confidence in his brains myself when I first came to Oz, for a humbug wizard gave them to him. But I was soon convinced that the Scarecrow is really wise, and unless his brains make him so, such wisdom is unaccountable.
Is the Wizard of Oz a humbug? Asked Ojo.
Not now. He was once, but he's now reformed and now assists Glinda the Good, who is the royal sorceress of Oz and the only one licensed to practice magic or sorcery. Glinda has taught our old wizard a good many clever things, so he's no longer a humbug.
Hi, Floral. Hello, hello. And this is something that we noticed that is interesting, because in previous books, that was not a thing. There were other magical practitioners. It used to be that there was a law that there was only one witch or sorcerer allowed per quadrant. But now, like, she's the only one allowed. So that's why we have a square in our bingo that's basically Glinda doesn't seem very good, because she has real villain energy. Okay. They walked a little while in silence, and then Ojo said, If Ozma forbids the crooked magician to restore Unk Nunky to life, what shall I do? The Shaky Man shook his head.
In that case, you can't do anything, he said. Oh, but don't be discouraged yet. We will go to Princess Dorothy and tell her your troubles, and then we will let her talk to Ozma. Dorothy has the kindest little heart in the world. She's been through so many troubles herself that she is sure to sympathize with you.
Ojo doesn't even need to go on this whole trek. He just needs to talk to Ozma, get the wizard, I don't know, locked up, and then they can just use the freaking magic belt that they always forget about. They've got this, like, omnipotent belt that can do anything, and Ozma could just, like, make Nunky alive again. Okay. Is Dorothy the little girl who came here from Kansas? Asked the boy.
Yes. In Kansas, she was Dorothy Gale. I used to know her there, And she brought me to the land of Oz. Bro, you kidnapped her. You also stole her dog. But now Ozma has made her a princess, and Dorothy's Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are here too.
Here, the Shaggy Man uttered a long sigh, and then he continued.
It's a queer country, this land of Oz, but I like it nevertheless.
What is queer about it? Asked Scraps.
Well, you, for instance, said he.
Did you see no girls as beautiful as I am in your own country? She inquired.
Well, none with the same gorgeous, variegated beauty, he confessed. In America, a girl stuffed with cotton wouldn't be alive, nor would anyone think of making a girl out of a patchwork quilt.
What a queer country America must be, she exclaimed in great surprise. The Scarecrow, whom you say is wise, told me I am the most beautiful creature he has ever seen.
Why, no, when perhaps you are, from a Scarecrow point of view,
replied the Shaggy Man. But why he smiled as he said it, Scraps could not imagine. As they drew nearer to the Emerald City, the travelers were filled with admiration for the splendid scenery they beheld. Handsome houses stood on both sides of the road, and each had a green lawn before it, as well as a pretty flower garden.
In another hour, said the Shaky Man, we shall come inside of the walls of the royal city.
He was walking ahead with Scraps, and behind them came the Woozy and the Glass Cat. Ojo had lagged behind, for in spite of the warnings he had received, the boy's eyes were fastened on the clover that bordered the road of yellow bricks, and he was eager to discover if such a thing as a six-leaved clover really existed. Suddenly, he stopped short and bent over to examine the ground more closely. Yes, here at last was a clover with 6 spreading leaves. He counted them carefully to make sure. In an instant his heart leapt with joy, for this was one of the important things he had come for. One of the things that would restore dear Unc Nunky to life. He glanced ahead and saw that none of his companions was looking back. Neither were any other people about, for it was midway between 2 houses. The temptation was too strong to be resisted. I might search for weeks and weeks and never find another 6-leaved clover, he told himself, and quickly plucking the stem from the plant, he placed the prized clover in his basket, covering it with the other things he carried there. Then, trying to look as if nothing had happened, he hurried forward and overtook his comrades. They are not allowed to pluck the clovers. It is illegal by order of Ozma. Yeah. The Emerald City, which is the most splendid, as well as the most beautiful city in any fairyland, is surrounded by a high, thick wall of green marble, polished smooth and set with glistening emeralds. There are 4 gates, one facing the Munchkin country, one facing the country of the Winkies, one facing the country of the Quadlings, and one facing the country of the Gillikins. The Emerald City lies directly in the center of these 4 important countries of Oz. The gates had bars of pure gold, and on either side of each gateway were built high towers from which floated gay banners. He's got the pride flags out, hell yeah. Other towers were set at distances along the walls, which were broad enough for 4 people to walk abreast upon. This enclosure, all green and gold and glittering with precious gems, was indeed a wonderful sight to greet our travelers, who first observed it from the top of a little hill. But beyond the wall was the vast city it surrounded, and hundreds of jeweled spires, domes, and minarets, flaunting flags and banners, reared their crests far above the towers of the gateways. In the center of the city, our friends could see the tops of many magnificent trees, some nearly as tall as the spires of the buildings, and the Shaggy Man told them that these trees were in the royal gardens of Princess Ozma. They stood a long time on the hilltop, feasting their eyes on the splendor of the Emerald City. Whee! Exclaimed Scraps, clasping her padded hands in ecstasy. That'll do for me to live in, all right. No more of the Munchkin country for these patches, and no more of the crooked magician. Why, you belong to Dr. Pipt, replied Ojo, looking at her in amazement. You were made for a servant, Scraps, so you are personal property and not your own mistress. Yeah, some of the characters in this book seem to be pro-slavery. Scraps was created to be a slave. So, Yep. So we are rooting for Scraps to never go back there. That the Winkies aren't green? No, the Winkies are yellow. That's the yellow country. Bother Dr. Pipt. If he wants me, let him come here and get me. I'll not go back to his den of my own accord, that's certain. Only one place in the land of Oz is fit to live in, and that is the Emerald City. It's lovely. It's almost as beautiful as I am, Ojo. Oh yes, Scraps. In this country, remarked the Shaky Man, people live wherever our ruler tells them to. It wouldn't do to have everyone live in the Emerald City, you know. For some must plow the land and raise grains and fruits and vegetables, while others chop wood in the forests or fish in the rivers or herd the sheep and the cattle. Poor things, said Scraps. Oh, I'm not sure. They're not happier than city people, replied the Shaggy Man. There's a freedom and independence in country life that not even the Emerald City can give. Well, I know that lots of the city people would like to get back to the land. The Scarecrow lives in the country, and so do the Tin Woodman and Jack Pumpkinhead. Okay, hold on. Yeah, the Tin Woodman doesn't live in the Emerald City, but he lives in a fucking castle and calls himself the Emperor. He's not, like, living in the country all rustic and cute. He's living in a tin castle with a shit ton of servants. Like, let's not tell lies or misconstrue what he's doing there. There's no this is a purely communist fairy country. Nobody gets paid to work, but also everyone is guaranteed a house and everyone is guaranteed enough food to eat. Made of his own flesh. Ew. And also he makes the Winkies like polish and buff him and nickel plate him and lube him up, and yeah. And he could have called himself just like the king or the ruler, or no, he had to go for emperor. Which, like, isn't an emperor like that's a higher status than a princess? Like, oh, he's flexing on Ozma there. Sometimes the house lands on you and crushes your worthless life. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Very occasionally. At least once. Yeah, emperors above kings. Anyway. Alright. We all three would be welcome to live in Ozma's palace if they cared to. Oh, too much splendor becomes tiresome, you know. But if we're to reach the Emerald City before sundown, we must hurry, for it is yet a long way off. The entrancing sight of the city had put new energy into them all, and they hurried forward with lighter steps than before. There was much to interest them along the roadway, for the houses were now set more closely together, and they met a good many people who were coming or going from one place or another. All these seemed happy-faced, pleasant people who nodded graciously to the strangers as they passed and exchanged words of greeting. At last, they reached the great gateway, just as the sun was setting and adding its red glow to the glitter of the emeralds on the green walls and spires. Somewhere inside the city, a band could be heard playing sweet music. A soft, subdued hum, as of many voices, reached their ears. From the neighboring yards came the low mooing of cows waiting to be milked. They were almost at the gate when the golden bars slid back, and a tall soldier stepped out and faced them. Ojo thought he had never seen so tall a man before. The soldier wore a handsome green and gold uniform with a tall hat in which was a waving plume, and he had a belt thickly encrusted with jewels. But the most peculiar thing about him was his long green beard, which fell far below his waist and perhaps made him seem taller than he really was. Oh yeah, side note, in Oz, jewels are not, like, worth a lot in terms of currency. Like, there's a lot of them. It's just that, like, they're still pretty. So people use them a lot in decoration just for the aesthetics of them. But, like, there's an abundance of them, so. This story is funnier if you use the modern definition of words. Just like when we read Aesop's Fables. Giero, what the fuck? Can we say goodbye to Giero? Bye. How does one make them go? They just are. They either are or they're not. Okay. Jesus. Born this way. Okay. As far as adaptations go, where should the series end? After the first book. That's like where the movie ends. If you've ever seen Return to Oz, which I highly recommend, it's one of my top favorite movies. It is kind of a mashup between books 2 and 3. Mostly book 3, but kind of mashing it up with book 2 a little bit. Halt, said the soldier with the green whiskers, not in a stern voice, but rather a friendly tone. They halted before he spoke and stood, looking at him.
Good evening, Colonel, said the Shaggy Man. What's the news since I left? Anything important?
Belina has hatched out 13 new chickens, replied the soldier with the green whiskers, and they're the cutest little fluffy yellow balls you ever saw. The yellow hen is mighty proud of those children, I can tell you.
Well, she has a right to be,
agreed the Shaggy Man.
Well, let me see, that's about 7,000 chicks she's hatched out, isn't it, General?
Who's fertilizing her eggs? Like, who is the daddy? Hi, Gentle Tap. Return to Oz is a creepy masterpiece. Dude, it's like in my top 3. Like, I love it so much. If no one can die in Oz, how can she keep having chicks? Dude, she's gonna, like, destroy the environment of Oz. Give it, like, 20 years and they're just gonna be overrun with chickens. But I remember them saying in a previous book that they also eat some of her eggs. So I assume she also lays eggs that are not fertilized. I mean, hopefully the ones they eat are not fertilized. Well, that at least, was the reply. You will have to visit Belina and congratulate her.
Well, it'll give me pleasure to do that,
said the Shaggy Man. It's okay to eat fertilized eggs? Yes, from, like, a human health point. I just mean that Belina is, like, sentient and sapient and would know that that was a future child. And if you took it and ate it, she might be upset about it. Right? Like, she would know. I'm more thinking of Bill.
Well, it'll give me pleasure to do that, said the Shaggy Man. But you will observe that I've brought some strangers home with me. I do like kidnapping. I'm going to take them to see Dorothy.
One moment, please, said the soldier, barring their way as they started to enter the gate. I am on duty, and I have orders to execute. Is anyone in your party named Ojo the Unlucky? Why, that's me, cried Ojo, astonished at hearing his name on the lips of a stranger. The soldier with the green whiskers nodded. I thought so, said he, and I'm sorry to announce that it is my painful duty to arrest you. Arrest me? Exclaimed the boy. What for? I haven't looked to see, answered the soldier. Then he drew a paper from his breast pocket and glanced at it. Oh, yes. You are to be arrested for willfully breaking one of the laws of Oz. Breaking a law? Said Scraps. Nonsense, soldier. You're joking. Not this time, returned the soldier with a sigh. My dear child, what are you? A rummage sale or a guess me quick? In me you behold the bodyguard of our gracious ruler, Princess Ozma, as well as the royal army of Oz and the police force of the Emerald City. And only one man, exclaimed the Patchwork Girl. Only one, and plenty enough. In my official positions, I've had nothing to do for a good many years, so long that I began to fear I was absolutely useless. Until today. An hour ago, I was called to the presence of Her Highness, Ozma of Oz, and told to arrest a boy named Ojo the Unlucky
who was journeying from the Munchkin country to the Emerald City, and would arrive in a short time. His command so astonished me that I nearly fainted, for it is the first time anyone has merited a rest since I can remember. You are rightly named Ojo the Unlucky, my poor boy, since you have broken a law of Oz.
But you are wrong, said Scraps. Ozma is wrong. You are all wrong, for Ojo has broken no law.
Well, then he will soon be free again, replied the soldier with the green whiskers. Anyone accused of a crime is given fair trial by our ruler, and has every chance to prove his innocence. But just now, Ozma's orders must be obeyed.
Good night, Buddha. Good night, good night. Thanks for hanging out. Not to ask you to pick favorites, but who are the top tier dragons from the plethora of stories your mind palace has stored?
Oh, God. I feel like I'm thinking of, like, from kids' books. If anyone read the Wild Magic series by Tamara Pierce, Kit would be one of my choices. Kitten, the little baby dragon. I remember being quite struck as a kid when I read the Unicorn Chronicles by Bruce Coville. They meet a dragon who, like, lets her drink her blood and receive the gift of tongues, because dragons can speak all languages. I loved Kitten. Oh my god, yay, someone knows what I'm talking about. Yay. I read that quartet and also the Lioness Quartet over and over as, like, a tween and teen. Yeah. Fucking loved them. So good. So good. Grumble Snatch the Thunderous. Oh yeah. Her as well. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other ones. I mean, like, obviously Faolkor, the luck dragon, my cousin. You've heard of him. I'll probably remember some other ones. I'll update the list if others pop into my mind. Smaug is good. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he's, like, my favorite, but I like him. Alright. With this, he took from his pocket a pair of handcuffs made of gold and set with rubies and diamonds, and these he snapped over Ojo's wrists. What is she doing here? Scraps, what are you doing? Are you eating your gloves? What is happening? Scraps, why? Thank you for— No, it's a good question. Brushing her teeth? I don't know. I don't know what this expression is. Why is her hair standing up? And other ones she's got, like, longer hair that's hanging down. It's the worst picture yet. I feel like you must have missed some then. This is bad, but it's not the worst. The dragon from How to Train Your Dragon. Sorry, I was only thinking of books. Toothless is adorable. Like, adorable. But I was just thinking of books. She's doing her best. There you go. This is also— I think this is the guard. Hi, Mr. Silk. Hello. Hi, how's it going? I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing? And there we've got Ojo. There we go. All right. And the next the next chapter is Ozma's Prisoner. And, yeah. Okay.
It's not a book? Oh, I actually don't know. I've seen the animated one. I haven't seen the live action remake. I don't think it's a book, but maybe it is. Is it? Does anyone know? Ozma's prisoner, is that everyone in Oz? No, because I would say Glinda is the one that's actually in charge. Keeping busy campaigning. Wait, campaigning? What are you campaigning for? Alright. Ozma's prisoner. Chapter 15. The boy was so bewildered by this calamity that he made no resistance at all. He knew very well that he was guilty, but it surprised him that Ozma also knew it. He wondered how she had found out so soon that he had picked the 6-leaf clover. Okay, Mr. Silk, I appreciate that. Okay, no worries. He handed his basket to Scraps and said, "Keep that until I get out of prison. If I never get out, take it to the crooked magician to whom it belongs." The Shaggy Man had been gazing earnestly in the boy's face, uncertain whether to defend him or not, but something he read in Ojo's expression made him draw back and refuse to interfere to save him. Well, the Shaggy Man was greatly surprised and grieved, but he knew that Ozma never made mistakes, and so Ojo must really have broken the law of Oz. The soldier with the green whiskers now led them all through the gate and into a little room built in the wall. Here sat a jolly little man, richly dressed in green and having around his neck a heavy gold chain, to which a number of great golden keys were attached. This was the guardian of the gate, and at the moment they entered his room, he was playing a tune upon a mouth organ. "Oh, listen," he said, holding up his hand for silence. "Well, I've just composed a tune called The Speckled Alligator. It's in patch time, which is much superior to ragtime, and I've composed it in honor of the Patchwork Girl, who has just arrived." "How did you know I had arrived?" asked Scraps, much interested. "Oh, it's my business to know who's coming, for I'm the guardian of the gate. Keep quiet while I play you The Speckled Alligator." Oh, thank God it's not a song I have to sing. Oh, thank God. It wasn't a very bad tune, nor a very good one, but all listened respectfully while he shut his eyes and swayed his head from side to side and blew the notes from the little instrument. When it was all over, the soldier with the green whiskers said, "Guardian, I have here a prisoner." "Good gracious, a prisoner?" cried the little man, jumping up from his chair. "Which one? Not the Shaggy Man?" "No, this boy." "Oh, well, I hope his fault is as small as himself," said the guardian of the gate. "But what can he have done, and what made him do it?" "Can't say," replied the soldier. "All I know is that he has broken the law." "But no one ever does that." "Then he must be innocent, and soon will be released. I hope you are right, guardian. Just now I am ordered to take him to prison. Get me a prisoner's robe from your official wardrobe." The guardian unlocked a closet and took from it a white robe, which the soldier threw over Ojo. It covered him from head to foot, but had 2 holes just in front of his eyes, so he could see where to go. In this attire, the boy presented a very quaint appearance. "Hi, Imp." It's not a KKK hood. It's more like a Halloween ghosty. It's more like a Halloween ghosty. A sheet ghost. Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. I know, because we've had some weird vibes in this story. Yeah, no. Hi, Tyra. Okay. As the Guardian unlocked a gate leading from his room into the streets of the Emerald City, the Shaggy Man said to Scraps, "Why, I think I shall take you directly to Dorothy, as the Scarecrow advised, and the Glass Cat and the Woozy may come with us. Ojo must go to prison with the soldier with the green whiskers, but he will be well treated, and you need not worry about him."
"What will they do with him?" asked Scraps.
"What, I cannot tell. Since I came to the land of Oz, no one has ever been arrested or imprisoned until Ojo broke the law."
"Seems to me that girl ruler of yours is making a big fuss over nothing," remarked Scraps, tossing her yarn hair out of her eyes with a jerk of her patched head. "I don't know what Ojo has done, but it couldn't be anything very bad, for you and I were with him all the time."
The Shaggy Man made no reply to this speech, and presently the Patchwork Girl forgot all about Ojo in her admiration of the wonderful city she had entered. They soon separated from the Munchkin boy, who was led by the soldier with the green whiskers down a side street toward the prison. Ojo felt very miserable and greatly ashamed of himself. But he was beginning to grow angry because he was treated in such a disgraceful manner. Instead of entering the splendid Emerald City as a respectable traveler who was entitled to a welcome and to hospitality, he was being brought in as a criminal, handcuffed and in a robe that told all he met of his deep disgrace. Ojo was, by nature, gentle and affectionate, and if he had disobeyed the law of Oz, it was to restore his dear Unc Nunky to life. His fault was more thoughtless than wicked, but that did not alter the fact that he had committed a fault. At first he had felt sorrow and remorse, but the more he thought about the unjust treatment he had received, unjust merely because he considered it so, the more he resented his arrest, blaming Ozma for making foolish laws and then punishing folks who broke them. Only a six-leafed clover, a tiny green plant growing neglected and trampled underfoot. What harm could there be in picking it up? Ojo began to think Ozma must be a very bad and oppressive ruler for such a lovely fairyland as Oz. The Shaggy Man said the people loved her, but how could they? The little Munchkin boy was so busy thinking these things, which many guilty prisoners have thought before him, that he scarcely noticed all the splendor of the city streets through which they passed. Whenever they met any of the happy, smiling people, the boy turned his head away in shame, although none knew who was beneath the robe. By and by they reached a house built just beside the great city wall, but in a quiet, retired place. It was a pretty house, neatly painted and with many windows. Before it was a garden filled with blooming flowers. The soldier with the green whiskers led Ojo up the gravel path to the front door, on which he knocked. A woman opened the door and, seeing Ojo in his white robe, exclaimed, "Goodness me! A prisoner at last! Oh, but what a small one, soldier! Oh, the size doesn't matter, Tollydiggle, my dear. The fact remains that he is a prisoner," said the soldier.
And this being the prison, and you, the jailer, it is my duty to place the prisoner in your charge.
True. Come in, then, and I'll give you a receipt for him.
They entered the house and passed through a hall to a large circular room where the woman pulled the robe off from Ojo and looked at him with kindly interest. The boy, on his part, was gazing around him with amazement, for never had he dreamed of such a magnificent apartment as this in which he stood. The roof of the dome was of colored glass, worked into beautiful designs. The walls were paneled with plates of gold, decorated with gems of great size and many colors, and upon the tiled floor were soft rugs, delightful to walk upon. The furniture was framed in gold and upholstered in satin brocade, and it consisted of easy chairs, divans, and stools in great variety. Also, there were several tables with mirror tops and cabinets filled with rare and curious things. In one place, a case filled with books stood against the wall, and elsewhere, Ojo saw a cupboard containing all sorts of games. Hi, Parathis, what's up? Hello, hello. May I stay here a little while before I go to prison? Asked the boy, pleadingly. Why, well, this is your prison, replied Tollydiggle. And me? Behold your jailer. I'll take off those handcuffs, soldier, for it is impossible for anyone to escape from this house. I know that very well, replied the soldier, and at once unlocked the handcuffs and released the prisoner. The woman touched a button on the wall and lighted a big chandelier that hung suspended from the ceiling, for it was growing dark outside. Then she seated herself at a desk and asked, "What name?" "Ojo the Unlucky," answered the soldier with the green whiskers. "Unlucky? Well, that accounts for it," said she. "What crime?" "Breaking a law of Oz." "All right. Well, there's your receipt, soldier, and now I'm responsible for the prisoner." "Oh, I'm glad of it, for this is the first time I've ever had anything to do in my official capacity," remarked the jailer in a pleased tone. "Well, it's the same with me, Tollydiggle," laughed the soldier. "But my task is finished, and I must go and report to Ozma that I've done my duty like a faithful police force, a loyal army, and an honest bodyguard, as I hope I am." Saying this, he nodded farewell to Tollydiggle and Ojo and went away. You want to suggest a book I've never heard of? Yeah, feel free. "Now then," said the woman briskly, "well, I must get you some supper, for you are doubtless hungry. What would you prefer? Planked whitefish, omelette with jelly, or mutton chops with gravy?" Ojo thought about it. Then he said, "I'll take the chops, if you please." "Very well. Amuse yourself while I'm gone. I won't be long." And then she went out by a door and left the prisoner alone. Ojo was much astonished, for not only was this unlike any prison he had ever heard of, but he was being treated more as a guest than a criminal. There were many windows, and they had no locks. There were 3 doors to the room, and none were bolted. He cautiously opened one of the doors and found it led into a hallway, but he had no intention of trying to escape. If his jailer was willing to trust him in this way, he would not betray her trust. And moreover, a hot supper was being prepared for him, and his prison was very comfortable and pleasant. So he took a book from the case and sat down in a big chair to look at the pictures.
The League of Lady Poisoners, Illustrated True Stories of Dangerous Women. That sounds like a fun read. Val is a member? Don't tell. I don't know what you mean. I've never heard of this League of Lady Poisoners in my life. Never heard of it. Never heard of this book or this society. I don't know any of them. Fedge for Fedge. Good night, Fedge. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for everything. Sleep well. She'll put steak in your mayonnaise. Yeah, bowl of mayonnaise. A few chunks of steak. Yeah, that's dinner. Okay. This amused him until the woman came in with a large tray and spread a cloth on one of the tables. Then she arranged his supper, which proved the most varied and delicious meal Ojo had ever eaten in his life. Tollydiggle sat near him while he ate, sewing on some fancy work she held in her lap. When he had finished, she cleared the table and then read to him a story from one of the books. "Is this really a prison?" he asked when she had finished reading. "Oh, indeed it is," she replied. "It is the only prison in the land of Oz." "And am I a prisoner?" "Oh, bless the child. Of course." "Well, then why is the prison so fine? And why are you so kind to me?" he earnestly asked. Tollydiggle seemed surprised by the question, but she presently answered, "We consider a prisoner unfortunate. Well, he is unfortunate in two ways. Because he has done something wrong and because he is deprived of his liberty. Therefore, we should treat him kindly because of his misfortune, for otherwise he would become hard and bitter and would not be sorry he had done wrong. Ozma thinks that one who has committed a fault did so because he was not strong and brave. Therefore, she puts him in prison to make him strong and brave. When that is accomplished, he is no longer a prisoner, but a good and loyal citizen, and everyone is glad that he is now strong enough to resist doing wrong. You see, it is kindness that makes one strong and brave, and so we are kind to our prisoners." Ojo thought this over very carefully. "Well, I had an idea," said he, "that prisoners were always treated harshly, to punish them." "Oh, that would be dreadful," cried Tollydiggle. "Isn't one punished enough in knowing he has done wrong? Don't you wish, Ojo, with all your heart, that you had not been disobedient and broken a law of Oz?" Well, I hate to be different from other people," he admitted. "Yes, one likes to be respected as highly as his neighbors are," said the woman. "When you are tried and found guilty, you will be obliged to make amends in some way. I don't know just what Ozma will do to you, because this is the first time one of us has broken a law, but you may be sure she will be just and merciful. Here in the Emerald City, people are too happy and contented ever to do wrong, but perhaps you came from some faraway corner of our land, and, having no love for Ozma, carelessly broke one of her laws." "Yes," said Ojo, "I've lived all my life in the heart of a lonely forest, where I saw no one but dear Unk Nunky." "Yeah, you tell her what for. You put her in her place." Yeah, this is really giving, like, there is no war in Ba Sing Se vibes. Like, it's just creeping me out a little bit. "I thought so," said Tollydiggle. "But now we have talked enough, so let us play a game until bedtime." End of chapter. Okay, let's see, there are a few drawings. Okay. There is Tolly Diggle and Ojo. I guess that's Ojo. There's a little circus ruff. And there's Ojo again. Alright. The long speech is the preamble to the beating. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't expect these very progressive prison views from Baum. Yeah. The League of Lady Poisoners, Illustrated True Stories of a Dangerous Woman, is a book by illustrator Lisa Perrin that explores the lives of over 25 historical female poisoners. The book features illustrations and delves into the motives, methods, and historical context of these women, including figures like Sally Bassett and the angel makers of Nagrev. Very interesting. Alright. Should we read another chapter? I want to see what happens. Oh. Okay. Chapter 16. Princess Dorothy. Alright, I shit on this illustrator a lot, but I actually really like this font with the O's. Hold on. I'm quite enjoying this font with the little O's up top. I find that quite pleasing. And this is all like hand lettered, so yeah. Dude, yeah, right? If I lived in Oz, just be breaking laws constantly to get this cute little cottage. Aw, DJ. I'll need to look into it. The picture is not so much. I mean, it depends on what his goal is. If his goal is to instill horror in us, then he's doing a bang-up job. Have you read The King in Yellow? No. No. I have not. Okay. Princess Dorothy. Dorothy Gale was sitting in one of her rooms in the royal palace. Ladies? Ladies? Hush. Nim is... Should we be worried for the ice cream guardian? Nim is like rumble strutting against the ice cream guardian. Possibly an uncredited titler or calligraphist. True. Yeah, it isn't necessarily the same person. True, true, true. Okay. Put them in Oz jail? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Dorothy Gale was sitting in one of her rooms in the royal palace, while curled up at her feet was a little black dog with a shaggy coat and very bright eyes. Artax, thank you for the 100 biddies. Thank you. She wore a plain white frock without any jewels or other ornaments except an emerald green hair ribbon, for Dorothy was a simple little girl and had not been in the least spoiled by the magnificence surrounding her. Once the child had lived on the Kansas prairies, but she seemed marked for adventure, for she had made several trips to the land of Oz before she came to live there for good. Her very best friend was the beautiful Princess Ozma. Oh, wait. Was the beautiful Ozma of Oz, who loved Dorothy so well that she kept her in her own palace so as to be near her. The girl's Uncle Henry and Aunt Em, the only relatives she had in the world, had also been brought here by Ozma and given a pleasant home. Dorothy knew almost everybody in Oz, and it was she who had discovered the Scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, and the Cowardly Lion, as well as Tik-Tok, the Clockwork Man. Her life was very pleasant now, and although she had been made a princess of Oz by her friend Ozma, she did not care much to be a princess and remained as sweet as when she had been plain Dorothy Gale of Kansas. Dorothy was reading in a book this evening when Jellia Jam, the favorite servant maid of the palace, came to say that the Shaggy Man wanted to see her. "All right," said Dorothy. "Tell him to come right up. But he has some queer creatures with him. Some of the queerest I've ever laid eyes on," reported Jellia. "Oh, never mind. Let 'em all come up," replied Dorothy. But when the door opened to admit not only the Shaggy Man, but Scraps, the Woozy, and the Glass Cat, Dorothy jumped up and looked at her strange visitors in amazement. The Patchwork Girl was the most curious of all, and Dorothy was uncertain at first whether Scraps was really alive or only a dream or a nightmare. Toto, her dog, slowly uncurled himself and, going to the Patchwork Girl, sniffed at her inquiringly. But soon he lay down again, as if to say he had no interest in such an irregular creation. "You're a new one to me," Dorothy said reflectively, addressing the Patchwork Girl. "I can't imagine where you've come from." "Who, me?" asked Scraps, looking around the pretty room instead of at the girl. "Oh, I came from a bed quilt, I guess. That's what they say, anyhow. Some call it a crazy quilt, and some a patchwork quilt. But my name is Scraps, and now you know all about me." "Well, not quite all," returned Dorothy with a smile. "I wish you'd tell me how you came to be alive." "Well, you can't just go around asking people that." "Nim, do I have to put you in horny jail?" Cloud is, hiding in her turtle shell. Nim is prowling like a menace. That's Cloud that you can hear talking. She's complaining about Nim. Okay. "That's an easy job," said Scraps, sitting upon a big upholstered chair and making the springs bounce her up and down. "Margalotte wanted a slave, so she made me out of an old bed quilt she didn't use. Cotton stuffing, suspender button eyes, red velvet tongue, pearl beads for teeth. The crooked magician made a powder of life, sprinkled me with it, and here I am. Perhaps you've noticed my different colors. A very refined and educated gentleman named the Scarecrow, whom I met, told me I am the most beautiful creature in all Oz, and I believe it." "Oh, have you met our Scarecrow then?" asked Dorothy, a little puzzled to understand the brief history related. You notice Dorothy is puzzled, but not appalled at the fact that Scraps said that she was created to be a slave. Dorothy doesn't seem bothered by that. "Yes, isn't he jolly? The Scarecrow has many good qualities," replied Dorothy.
But I'm sorry to hear all this about the crooked magician. Ozma will be mad as hops when she hears he's been doing magic again. She told him not to. He only practices magic for the benefit of his own family, explained Bungle, who was keeping at a respectful distance from the little black dog. Oh, dear me, said Dorothy. I hadn't noticed you before. Are you glass or what? I'm glass, and transparent, too, which is more than can be said of some folks, answered the cat. Also, I have some lovely pink brains. You can see 'em work. Oh, is that so? Come over here and let me see. The glass cat hesitated, eyeing the dog. Send that beast away and I will, she said. Beast? Why, that's my dog Toto, and he's the kindest dog in all the world. Toto knows a good many things, too. Most as much as I do, I guess. Why doesn't he say anything? Asked Bungle. We can't talk, not being a fairy dog, explained Dorothy. That argument falls apart because Bill can talk. Bill was a normal, mundane chicken that ended up in Oz and can talk. Toto is just a low IQ pooch. Well, he's just a common United States dog. But that's a good deal, and I understand him, and he understands me, just as well as if he could talk. Toto, at this point, got up and rubbed his head softly against Dorothy's hand, which she held out to him, and he looked up into her face as if he had understood every word she had said. Is Toto a mini schnauzer in the book? No, they make him look like a French bulldog often in the illustrations. A little Frenchy. The horse also could talk. Yes, the horse could talk. Toto's the only one that is... And her kitten Eureka. Literally all the other United States animals that went to Oz could talk. Toto is the only one too dumb. Oh my god, Bae! Hi, Raiders! Hello! Hello! Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is just L. Frank Baum being a terrible writer. Oh my goodness. Beige Nash. Welcome in, Raiders. Hi. You guys make sure you are dropping a follow and checking out Beige Nash. She is so heckin' rad. So kind and cool and fun, and does chatting and gaming streams, and it's just awesome. So make sure to check her out. Yes! Yes! I was lurking in Bay's stream earlier, and I think that's maybe the first time I've actually typed in your chat, and I was like, I need to like break the ice and actually sit, because I'm always just like lurking. Yeah. Twitch told on me. Yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everyone. If you're new here, I'm Faolkor. We do a mixture of chatty, soft-spoken, traditional ASMR, and also reading content. You've come in during the reading segment. We are reading The Patchwork Girl of Oz, which is book number 7 in the Wizard of Oz series, and it's really weird and kind of problematic. And we like kind of getting mad at L. Frank Baum and playing Wizard of Oz bingo. You gotta read and run. No problem at all. Kiddos feels, I hope they are feeling better soon. Thank you again so much for the raid. Thank you. Good to see you. Yes. We are, so they are the main characters. Dorothy is not one of the main characters. The main characters are meeting Dorothy for the first time right now. A tier ranking of all the Oz books. That's a good idea. Yeah. All right. Well, if you're in for weird story time, please settle in. We will probably be doing
more like ASMR with trigger requests after this. We might read like one chapter after this one. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, yeah. So they are all meeting Dorothy and Toto, and she's trying to explain to them. The thing you came in with me ranting is that at this point Dorothy lives permanently in Oz. But she previously went there several times, right? And then would go back to Kansas. And there have been a few instances where an animal goes along with her. And whenever that animal enters a fairy country, which Oz is one such, they're able to speak. Except for Toto. And one of the characters in here is like, well, why can't he speak? And she's like, well, he's just like a normal American dog, not a fairy dog. That argument doesn't hold water, Dorothy. At all. You know this. They're all F tier. Alright, okay.
This cat, Toto, she said to him, is made of glass, so you mustn't bother it or chase it any more than you do my pink kitten. It's probably brittle and might break if it bumped against anything.
Woof, said Toto, and that meant he understood. Also, retcon, Eureka was not a pink kitten. Eureka was a white kitten, and they were just in the land of the Mangaboos, where a pink light was shining on her and she glowed pink for a while. She's not a pink kitten, but apparently she is now. The glass cat was so proud of her pink brains that she ventured to come close to Dorothy in order that the girl might see him work. This was really interesting, but when Dorothy patted the cat, she found the glass cold and hard and unresponsive. So she decided at once that Bungle would never do for a pet. Dorothy, that wasn't ever an option. You can't just meet a sentient citizen of Oz and decide you want them to be your pet. Dorothy's always pulled this bullshit. You remember in the first book when they go to the land where everyone is like made out of china? And she meets that like pretty porcelain little milkmaid and she's like, can I keep you as a doll? And the milkmaid's like, what the fuck? No, like I'm my own ass person. Like, you can't keep me as a doll. Dorothy's horrible. Like, at least in that one, that was her first visit to Oz. Like, she's a little naive, but like, god damn it, girl, you're a princess of this country now. Mom, you should have taken her head. We would be dead if this was a drinking game. Alright.
What do you know about the crooked magician who lives on the mountain? Asked Dorothy. He made me, replied the cat, so I know all about him. The Patchwork Girl is new, 3 or 4 days old, but I've lived with Dr. Pipt for years. And though I don't much care for him, I will say that he has always refused to work magic for any of the people who come to his house. He thinks there's no harm in doing magic things for his own family, and he made me out of glass because the meat cats drink too much milk. He also made Scraps come to life so she could do the housework for his wife, Margalot.
At this point, you think I'm spending late nights writing more Oz books and reading it to us? How dare you? I think I may say that my writing is better than this. Dorothy disregards someone's bodily autonomy. Oh, we've already got that one checked off. Nonchalance at taking away bodily autonomy. This is not the first time this has happened in this book so far.
Then why did you both leave him? Asked Dorothy.
Why, I think you better let me explain that,
interrupted the Shaggy Man. And then he told Dorothy all of Ojo's story and how Unk Nunky and Margalot had accidentally been turned to marble by the liquid of petrifaction. Then he related how the boy had started out in search of the things needed to make the magic charm, which would restore the unfortunates to life, and how he had found the Woozy and taken him along because he could not pull the 3 hairs out of its tail. Dorothy listened to all this with much interest and thought that so far Ojo had acted very well. But when the Shaggy Man told her of the Munchkin boy's arrest by the soldier with the green whiskers because he was accused of willfully breaking a law of Oz, the little girl was greatly shocked.
What do you suppose he's done?
She asked.
Why, I fear he's picked a 6-leaf clover,
Answered the Shaggy Man sadly.
Why, I did not see him do it, and I warned him that to do so was against the law. But perhaps that is what he did, nevertheless.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, said Dorothy gravely. For now, there will be no one to help his poor uncle and Margalot, except this Patchwork Girl, the Woozy, and the Glass Cat. Don't mention it, said Scraps. That's no affair of mine. Margalot and Unk Nunky are perfect strangers to me. For the moment I came to life, they became marble.
I see, remarked Dorothy with a sigh of regret.
The woman forgot to give you a heart.
Girl! Dorothy! She made Scraps to be her slave! And, for anyone who missed the beginning of this book, Margalot intentionally was gonna put very limited brains in Scraps because she's like, this Patchwork Girl is to be my slave, and if I make her too intelligent, she'll think she's above her station. She was going to intentionally make her of limited intelligence so that she wouldn't be smart enough to not want to be a slave anymore. And then Ojo, when Margalot turned her back, put a bunch of brains into Scraps. That's why Scraps is actually, like, kind of clever. And Dorothy's just like, well, why wouldn't you want to go back and save her? Girl, like... Lemon Slug! Hello! Thank you for the 11 bits! Thank you. How's it going? It's good to see you. Oh my goodness. What is the blue stuff you're drinking? It's just flavored water. Yeah.
The woman forgot to give you a heart. I'm glad she did, retorted the Patchwork Girl. A heart must be a great annoyance to one. It makes a person feel sad, or sorry, or devoted, or sympathetic, all of which sensations interfere with one's happiness. I have a heart, murmured the Glass Cat. It's made of ruby. But I don't imagine I shall let it bother me about helping Unk Nunky and Margalot. Well, that's a pretty hard heart of yours, said Dorothy. And the Woozy, of course.
Why, as for me, observed the Woozy, who was reclining on the floor with his legs doubled under him, so that he looked much like a square box. I have never seen those unfortunate people you are speaking of, and yet I am sorry for them, having at times been unfortunate myself. When I was shut up in that forest, I longed for someone to help me, and by Ojo came and did help me. So I'm willing to help his uncle. I'm only a stupid beast, Dorothy, but I can't help that, and if you'll tell me what to do to help Ojo and his uncle, I'll gladly do it. Dorothy walked over and patted the Woozy on his square head. You're not pretty, she said, but I like you. What the...
This girl is a menace. She's so rude to everybody. That's crazy. She's the worst. She's the worst. Oh.
You're not pretty, she said, but I like you. What are you able to do? Anything special?
Well, I can make my eyes flash fire. Real fire. When I'm angry. When anyone says, Crizzle crude to me, I get angry. And then my eyes flash fire.
Oh, I don't see as fireworks could help Ojo's uncle, remarked Dorothy. Can you do anything else?
I thought I had a very terrifying growl, said the Woozy with hesitation. But perhaps I was mistaken.
Yes, said the shaky man, you were certainly wrong about that.
Then he turned to Dorothy and added,
What will become of the Munchkin boy?
I don't know, she said, shaking her head thoughtfully. Ozma will see about it, of course, and then she'll punish him. But how? I don't know, 'cause no one has ever been punished in Oz since I knew anything about the place. Too bad, shaky man, isn't it?
The Wicked Witch was murdered. Justice for the Wicked Witch. Yeah, the Woozy's better than this, man. Oh, Christ. Ozma could fix it in a second with her magic belt. But Baum obviously regrets that he created an item as powerful as the magic belt, because there have been previous books in the series where everything could have been fixed instantly if they had just used the magic belt, and it's just they conveniently forget about it. What's a Woozy again? Well, first off, it's the Woozy, not a Woozy. There's only one. And he basically looks like a bunch of cardboard boxes, but blue. I don't really know what else to say. He's very obliging. The recipe that Ojo needs to bring his uncle back to life includes 3 hairs from the end of the Woozy's tail. Or brown, according to the illustrator, yeah. This creature has no hair except for the end of his tail, where there's 3 hairs. He obligingly offers them to Ojo. Ojo can't pull them out. So this creature is like, well, why don't I come on your potentially very long, arduous journey until you can work out how to pull out my hairs? Like, he's so obliging. If Baum tells you that a character is good and virtuous, you can bet that they'll betray you in their actions shortly. Like, he keeps saying, like, oh, Dorothy's this sweet, lovely girl, and then she just says the most heinous things. If I go on this journey with you, will you pull my hair? Ooh. Okay. While they were talking, Scraps had been roaming around the room and looking at all the pretty things it contained. She had carried Ojo's basket in her hand until now, when she decided to see what was inside it. Well, she found the bread and cheese, which she had no use for, and the bundle of charms, which were curious but quite a mystery to her. Then, turning these over, she came upon the 6-leaved clover, which the boy had plucked. Scraps was quick-witted, and although she had no heart, she recognized the fact that Ojo was her first friend. She knew at once that because the boy had taken the clover, he had been imprisoned, and she understood that Ojo had given her the basket so they would not find the clover in his possession and have proof of his crime. So, turning her head to see that no one noticed her, she took the clover from the basket and dropped it into a golden vase that stood on Dorothy's table. Then she came forward and said to Dorothy, "I wouldn't care to help Ojo's uncle, but I will help Ojo. He did not break the law. No one can prove he did, and that green-whiskered soldier had no right to arrest him." "Well, Ozma ordered the boy's arrest," said Dorothy, "and of course she knew what she was doing. But if you can prove Ojo's innocent, they'll set him free at once." "They'll have to prove him guilty, won't they?" asked Scraps. "I suppose so." "Well, they can't do that," declared the Patchwork Girl. Saint Davidas, welcome and thanks for the follow. And Tanuki, thank you for the T1 sub. I appreciate you, Tanuki. Oh my goodness, how are you doing? Lovely to see you. You've discovered listening to stream on your phone while at the pub? Wait, I'm not on speakerphone at the pub, am I? A six-leaf clover would look more like a flower, kind of, yeah. We're only bringing the woozy with us because we want to harvest it. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Tanuki, if you're still around after we finish reading, I will of course love to do a name trace for you at that point. Well, they don't need to kill the woozy. Getting lit at the bar while listening to Baum. It's the only way to cope with L. Frank Baum, to be fair. Wait, Banana, I don't know if you're joking or not. I can't tell if you're joking. It was nearly time for Dorothy to dine with Ozma, which she did every evening. She rang for a servant and ordered the woozy taken to a nice room and given plenty of such food as he liked best. "That's honeybees," said the woozy. "You can't eat honeybees, but you'll be given something just as nice," Dorothy told him. Then she had the glass cat taken to another room for the night, and the Patchwork Girl she kept in one of her own rooms, where she was much interested in the strange creature and wanted to talk with her again and try to understand her better. Oh, here's a picture of Dorothy meeting the woozy for those who wanted to see him. Yeah, if you made a horse out of cardboard boxes, or a cat, a large cat maybe. When I own a bar, I'm gonna project the stream onto the wall in the parking lot. Wait, not even in the bar, just in the parking lot. Yeah, 1913 for this book. Yeah. Was it revised? I don't think so. Oh. You might pass out, Tanuki. Oh my goodness. Well, if you do, I hope you have a wonderful sleep. I'll tell you what, if you do pass out before we end the reading portion, you can claim your name trace on Tuesday, if you'd prefer. Either way, thank you so much for the resub. It means a whole lot to me. Oh my... Yeah, you get her. You show her who's boss. Nimbus? You're a problem. You're being a problem. She's getting too big for her britches. Okay. Sorry, guys. John Calise, welcome and thank you for the follow. and just okay, we are gonna, let's see, do we want one more chapter? Do we want one more chapter? I would like to read another chapter, but I do need a very quick stretch break, you guys. Artax, thank you for the 100 biddies. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Alright, this is gonna be a very short stretch break, 1 or 2 minutes. I just need to stand up and do some stretches from my crooked back. The lads at the parsley. Okay, so I will be back in a couple. I will let you look. I'm nervous to put the pigs on the screen because, like, a felony might occur. But hopefully Nim will behave herself. Okay. I'll be back very shortly. Okay. Hello. Oh my god, guinea pigs really have individual personalities. Oh yeah. Like, I'm sure all rodents do, but like, in my experience, like, way more than compared to like hamsters and gerbils and mice. Rats, I think, are, have pretty defined personalities more, but guinea pigs definitely do. Okay. The squirrels, really? I love squirrels. All right. Let's read at least one more chapter. We'll see how it goes. Chapter 17. Ozma and her friends, aka the Mean Girl Clique. The Shaggy Man had a room of his own in the royal palace, so there he went to change his shaggy suit. So there he went to change his shaggy suit of clothes for another, just as shaggy, but not so dusty from travel. He selected a costume of pea green and pink satin and velvet, with embroidered shags on all the edges and iridescent pearls for ornaments. Then he bathed in an alabaster pool and brushed his shaggy hair and whiskers the wrong way to make them still more shaggy. This accomplished, and arrayed in his splendid, shaggy garments, he went to Ozma's banquet hall and found the Scarecrow, the Wizard, and Dorothy already assembled there. The Scarecrow had made a quick trip and returned to the Emerald City with his left ear freshly painted. A moment later, while they all... Ma'am. So sorry, you guys. A moment later, while they all stood in waiting, a servant threw open a door. The orchestra struck up a tune, and Ozma of Oz entered. Much has been told and written concerning the beauty of person and character of this sweet girl ruler of the land of Oz. The richest, the happiest, and most delightful fairyland of which we have any knowledge. Yet with all her queenly qualities, Ozma was a real girl and enjoyed the things in life that other real girls enjoy. Come on, tell us, L. Frank Baum, what do girls enjoy? When she sat on her splendid emerald throne in the great throne room of her palace and made laws and settled disputes and tried to keep all her subjects happy and contented, she was as dignified and demure as any queen might be. But when she had thrown aside her jeweled robe of state and her scepter and had retired to her private apartments, the girl, joyous, light-hearted, and free, replaced the sedate ruler. Replaced the sedate ruler. In the banquet hall tonight were gathered only old and trusted friends. So here, Ozma was herself, a mere girl. She greeted Dorothy with a kiss, the Shaggy Man with a smile, the little old wizard with a friendly handshake, and then she pressed the Scarecrow's stuffed arm and cried merrily, "What a lovely left ear! Why, it's 100 times better than the old one." "Well, I'm glad you like it," replied the Scarecrow, well pleased. "Ginger did a neat job, didn't she? My hearing is now perfect. Wasn't it wonderful what a little paint will do if it's properly applied?"
"It really is wonderful," she agreed as they all took their seats. "But the sawhorse must have made his legs twinkle. to have carried you so far in one day. I didn't expect you back before tomorrow at the earliest.
Well, said the Scarecrow, why, I met a charming girl on the road and wanted to see more of her, so I hurried back.
Ozma laughed. I know, she returned. It's the Patchwork Girl. She is certainly bewildering, if not strictly beautiful.
Well, have you seen her then? The straw man eagerly asked.
Only in my magic picture, which shows me all scenes of interest in the land of Oz.
I fear the picture didn't do her justice, said the Scarecrow.
It seemed to me that nothing could be more gorgeous, declared Ozma. Whoever made that patchwork quilt, from which Scraps was formed, must have selected the gayest and brightest bits of cloth that ever were woven.
Well, I'm glad you like her, said the Scarecrow in a satisfied tone. Although the straw man did not eat, not being made so he could, he often dined with Ozma and her companions, merely for the pleasure of talking with them. He sat at the table and had a napkin and plate, but the servants knew better than to offer him food. After a little while, he asked, "Where is the Patchwork Girl now?"
"In my room," replied Dorothy. "I've taken a fancy to her. She's so queer and uncommon."
"She's half crazy, I think," added the Shaggy Man. "Oh, but she's so beautiful," exclaimed the Scarecrow, as if that fact disarmed all criticism. They all laughed at his enthusiasm, but the Scarecrow was quite serious. Seeing that he was interested in Scraps, they forbore to say anything against her. The little band of friends Ozma had gathered around her was so quaintly assorted that much care must be exercised to avoid hurting their feelings or making any one of them unhappy. It was this considerate kindness that held them close friends and enabled them to enjoy one another's society. Are you kidding me? There's a reason we keep including things like people just being mean to each other for no reason in our Wizard of Oz bingo games. They're total assholes to each other. But like they say it all sweetly. They're like,
"Wow, you're looking really ugly today."
Frank is Delulu. Okay. Another thing they avoided was conversing on unpleasant subjects, and for that reason, Ojo and his troubles were not mentioned during the dinner. The Shaggy Man, however, related his adventures with the monstrous plants which had seized and enfolded the travelers, and told how he had robbed Chiss, the giant porcupine, of the quills which it was accustomed to throw at people. Both Dorothy and Ozma were pleased with this exploit and thought it served Chiss right. Isn't Ozma supposed to, like, stand up for all of her citizens equally? Why are we throwing quills at people? Because it's a porcupine. But this is like, she's like, wow, one of my citizens is like hitting people too much, so I'm just gonna chop off their arms so they can't hit people anymore. Like, there are other ways to deal with this problem. Relocate Chiss. Have Ozma be like, Chiss, you can't set up your home in the middle of a major thoroughfare. You can't lie down on the road. Go lie down in a field somewhere. Yeah, the plant, right? She's a terrible... Wait, can we check off Ozma is a terrible ruler? Can we do that? Because, like,
Or have we? Oh, yeah, let's because she's a fucking terrible ruler. Okay. Ozma is a shitty ruler. Like, Ozma could move the road around the porcupine. I don't think the porcupine even had a den. I think he was just dead ass lying in the middle of the road. But yeah, she could reroute the. She's got the magic belt. Yeah. Ugh. All right. Okay. Then they talked of the woozy, which was the most remarkable animal any of them had ever seen before, except perhaps the live sawhorse. What about the gump? Ozma had never known that her dominions contained such a thing as a woozy, there being but one in existence, and this being confined in his forest for many years. Dorothy said she believed the woozy was a good beast, honest and faithful, but she added that she did not care much for the glass cat. Azerothic, welcome in. Welcome, welcome. How you doing? Yeah, she's like, yeah, she didn't know that the woozy was like imprisoned for years in her kingdom. Oh, still, said the shaky man, the glass cat is very pretty, and if she were not so conceited over her pink brains, no one would object to her as a companion. Okay, can I... Sorry, I know, I'm interrupting a lot to bitch about Elfring Baum. Look, does the cat brag about her pink brains a lot? Yes. I don't actually think the glass cat is that conceited, though. What does the scarecrow do? He's always like, I've got the best brains in Oz. Let me think that out. I've got these uber brains in my head. The cat is not doing anything worse. Literally all of them are like bragging about themselves, always. Except for the cowardly lion, who has confidence issues. And they're all assholes because they keep calling him the cowardly lion. Like, just call him lion. Oh my god. The cat is insecure, not... No, I think she really likes her brains, but like, I actually really like this cat. I did not like Eureka, the other cat. The meat cat. But Bungle is fine. Good night, Banana. Thanks for hanging out. Cats are most proud of their buttholes, so a cat that draws attention to its brain is a fresh change of pace. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, we've got Scraps going around and being like, I'm the most beautiful thing in the world. Like, look, get it, girl. I'm not telling Scraps to stop saying that. Especially in the face of all these people telling her she's ugly. But you can't say that Bungle is conceited, but Scraps isn't. Anyway. Sorry, I'll try to do a little more reading before I interrupt again. The wizard had been eating silently until now, when he looked up and remarked, "Well, that powder of life, which is made by the crooked magician, is really a wonderful thing. But Dr. Pip does not know its true value, and he uses it in the most foolish ways." "I must see about that," said Ozma gravely. Then she smiled again and continued in a lighter tone, "It was Dr. Pip's
famous powder of life that enabled me to become the ruler of Oz.
Well, I've never heard that story,
said the Shaggy Man, looking at Ozma questioningly. Oh shit, let's see how much Baum retcons this.
Well, when I was a baby girl, I was stolen by an old witch named Mombi and transformed into a boy,
began the girl ruler.
I did not know who I was, and when I grew big enough to work, the witch made me wait upon her and carry wood for the fire and hoe in the garden. One day she came back from a journey, bringing some of the powder of life, which Dr. Pipt had given her. I had made a pumpkin-headed man and set it up in her path to frighten her, for I was fond of fun and hated the witch. But she knew what the figure was, and to test her powder of life, she sprinkled some of it on the man I had made. It came to life and is now our dear friend, Jack Pumpkinhead. That night, I ran away with Jack to escape punishment, and I took old Mombi's powder of life with me. During our journey, we came upon a wooden sawhorse standing by the road, and I used the magic powder to bring it to life. The sawhorse has been with me ever since. When I got to the Emerald City, the good sorceress, Glinda, knew who I was and restored me to my proper person when I became the rightful ruler of this land. So you see, had not old Mombi brought home the powder of life, I might never have run away from her and become Ozma of Oz. Nor would we have had Jack Pumpkinhead and the Sawhorse to comfort and amuse us.
Okay. Now, this is an error. He retconned this in a previous one, but how it originally was put out is that the fucking Wizard of Oz, who is sitting at this table right now, was the one that smuggled out baby Ozma and gave her to Mombi. But then in a subsequent book, I guess Baum regretted this narrative and made it so that it was all Mombi doing it, and Oz is not a kidnapping usurper. Also, I thought... Wait, was it Mombi that turned Jack into life? I thought it was Tip that sprinkled it onto Jack. The Wiz is totally not a child trafficker anymore? I guess not. He recognized he can't compete with the Shaggy Man, so... Wasn't Ozma a boy originally? No, she was born as a girl, but then she was kidnapped. Originally, the version was that she was kidnapped by the wizard who gave her to Mombi, but now the story goes that Mombi kidnapped her, and Mombi turned her into a boy. That story interested the Shaggy Man very much, as well as others who had often heard it before. The dinner being now concluded, they all went to Ozma's drawing room, where they passed a pleasant evening before it came time to retire. Oh shit! Okay, we need one more chapter, because the next chapter is called Glinda. Alright, Glinda, what are you gonna do? No mention of the Gump. I know, the Gump may as well never have existed. Get fucked, Gump. Alright. Chapter 18, Ojo is forgiven. Wait, we have this picture too. Jack! Why is the sawhorse on a leash? You're not gonna make it? Okay, Sean. Sleep well. Thanks for hanging out, Sean. Good night, good night. Jack is now a slave master. It's apparently the thing to do in Oz. Hi, Anavis, man. Alright. This, I think, should be our last chapter tonight. Reminder for anyone who's hanging out over on Twitch, I'm also live on YouTube. If any of you are able to like open that as another window, then that really does help with my watch hours, but whatever you want to do. Yeah. Okay, let's see what happens. Ojo is forgiven. The next morning, the soldier... Wait. Oh, sorry, the chapter isn't called Glinda. That's just a random picture of Glinda. Oh, okay. Well, let's read one more chapter anyways. Okay. The next morning, the soldier with the green whiskers went to the prison and took Ojo away to the royal palace, where he was summoned to appear before the girl ruler for judgment. Again, the soldier put upon the boy the jeweled handcuffs and white prisoner's robe with the peaked top. Now it does have a peaked top? Bro. Baum, don't give it a peaked top. That was not mentioned with the white robes with the eyes cut out before. Okay. Like, it did not say... with the peak top and holes for the eyes. Oh my god. Thank you, Lemon Slut. It's sus as fuck. Ojo was so ashamed, both of his disgrace and the fault he had committed, that he was glad to be covered up in this way, so that people could not see him or know who he was. He followed the soldier with the green whiskers very willingly, anxious that his fate might be decided as soon as possible. The inhabitants of the Emerald City were polite people, and never jeered at the unfortunate. But it was so long since they had seen a prisoner that they cast many curious looks toward the girl. No, I don't know why I said that. They cast many curious looks toward the boy, and many of them hurried away to the royal palace to be present during the trial. When Ojo was escorted into the great throne room of the palace, he found hundreds of people assembled there. In the magnificent emerald throne, which sparkled with countless jewels, sat Ozma of Oz, in her robe of state, which was embroidered with emeralds and pearls. On her right, but a little lower, was Dorothy, and on her left, the Scarecrow. Still lower, but nearly in front of Ozma, sat the wonderful Wizard of Oz, and on a small table beside him was the golden vase from Dorothy's room, into which Scraps had dropped the stolen clover. Uh-oh, you're fucked. Yeah, well, because Ozma spends all her time spying on everyone, she probably saw that happen too. At Ozma's feet crouched two enormous beasts, each the largest and most powerful of its kind. Although these beasts were quite free, no one present was alarmed by them, for the Cowardly Lion and the Hungry Tiger were well known and respected in the Emerald City, and they always guarded the ruler when she held high court in the throne room. There was still another beast present, but this one Dorothy held in her arms, for it was her constant companion, the little dog, Toto. Toto knew the cowardly lion and the hungry tiger and often played and romped with them, for they were good friends. Seated on ivory chairs before Ozma, with a clear space between them and the throne, were many of the nobility of the Emerald City, lords and ladies in beautiful costumes, and officials of the kingdom in the royal uniforms of Oz. Behind these courtiers were others of less importance, filling the great hall to the very doors. At the same moment that the soldier with the green whiskers arrived with Ojo, the Shaggy Man entered from a side door, escorting the Patchwork Girl, the Woozy, and the Glass Cat. All these came to the vacant space before the throne and stood, facing the ruler.
"Hello, Ojo," said Scraps. "How are you?"
"All right," he replied, but the scene awed the boy, and his voice trembled a little with fear. Nothing could awe the Patchwork Girl, and although the Woozy was somewhat uneasy in these splendid surroundings, the Glass Cat was delighted with the sumptuousness of the court and the impressiveness of the occasion. Pretty big words, but quite expressive. Okay. Is Baum trying to, compliment himself on his own vocabulary there? He's like, look, I know some long words. That was so weird. Okay. At a sign from Ozma, the soldier removed Ojo's white robe, and the boy stood face to face with the girl who was to decide his punishment. He saw at a glance how lovely and sweet she was, and his heart gave a bound of joy, for he hoped she would be merciful. Hi, Duke. Thank you for the lurk. Sleep well, Duke. Ozma sat looking at the prisoner a long time. Then she said, gently,
"One of the laws of Oz forbids anyone to pick a six-leaved clover. You are accused of having broken this law, even after you had been warned not to do so."
Ojo hung his head, and while he hesitated how to reply, the Patchwork Girl stepped forward and spoke for him.
"All this fuss is about nothing at all,"
she said, facing Ozma unabashed.
"You can't prove he picked the six-leaved clover, so you've no right to accuse him of it. Search him if you like, but you won't find the clover. Look in his basket, and you'll find it's not there. He hasn't got it, so I demand that you set this poor Munchkin boy free."
The people of Oz listened to this defiance in amazement and wondered at the queer Patchwork Girl who dared talk so boldly to their ruler. But Ozma sat silent and motionless, and it was the little wizard who answered Scraps. "So the clover hasn't been picked, eh?" he said. "Well, I think it has. I think the boy hid it in his basket and then gave the basket to you. I also think you dropped the clover into this vase, which stood in Princess Dorothy's room, hoping to get rid of it so it would not prove the boy guilty. Now, you're a stranger here, Miss Patches, so you don't know that nothing can be hidden from our powerful ruler's magic picture, nor from the watchful eyes of the humble Wizard of Oz. Look, all of you." With these words, he waved his hands toward the vase on the table, which Scraps now noticed for the first time. From the mouth of the vase, a plant sprouted, slowly growing before their eyes until it became a beautiful bush, and on the topmost branch appeared the six-leaved clover, which Ojo had, unfortunately, picked. The Patchwork Girl looked at the clover and said, "Oh, so you found it. Very well. Prove he picked it, if you can." Dude, Scraps is awesome. She's ballsy. I like her. Ozma turned to Ojo.
"Did you pick the 6-leaf clover?" she asked.
"Yes," he replied.
"I knew it was against the law, but I wanted to save Unc Nunky, and I was afraid if I asked your consent to pick it, you would refuse me."
"What caused you to think that?" asked the ruler.
"Well, it seemed to me a foolish law, unjust and unreasonable. Even now, I can see no harm in picking a 6-leaf clover, and I had not seen the Emerald City then, nor you, and I thought a girl who would make such a silly law would not be likely to help anyone in trouble."
Ozma regarded him musingly, her chin resting upon her hand. But she was not angry. On the contrary, she smiled a little at her thoughts, and then grew sober again.
"I suppose a good many laws seem foolish to those people who do not understand them," she said. "But no law is ever made without some purpose, and that purpose is usually to protect all the people and guard their welfare. As you are a stranger, I will explain this law, which to you seems so foolish. Years ago, there were many witches and magicians in the land of Oz, and one of the things they often used in making their magic charms and transformations was a 6-leafed clover. These witches and magicians caused so much trouble among my people, often using their powers for evil rather than good, that I decided to forbid anyone to practice magic or sorcery, except Glinda the Good and her assistant, the Wizard of Oz, both of whom I can trust to use their arts only to benefit my people and to make them happier. Since I issued that law, the land of Oz has been far more peaceful and quiet. But I learned that some of the witches and magicians were still practicing magic on the sly and using the 6-leaf clovers to make their potions and charms. Therefore, I made another law forbidding anyone from plucking a 6-leaf clover or from gathering other plants and herbs which the witches boil in their kettles to work magic with.
Girl, what? I'm sorry. She's basically put out like a witch hunt in a fairy country, except for her besties, who are allowed to. No, look. Think about this, okay? Maybe Glinda will never die, because apparently no one dies in the land of Oz, unless you're like, the wizard will die at some point. Okay, which is probably why Glinda's like not sweating about teaching him, because like he's old and is gonna die at some point. No one else is learning magic. If Glinda somehow gets killed, unlikely, but like we know from past stories that like witches and magic practitioners can perish. Like, or something happen. Like, no one is allowed to study magic. They are basically gonna lose all magical skill except for one person in the land. That's really messed up. I think Glinda's behind it all. I think that Ozma is like doing what Glinda suggests, you know? Like, look, if it's really so bad, maybe no one should, but Glinda's not gonna give it up. The fact that they're not even allowed to learn about like herbs and like, oh god, this is horrible. Okay.
That has almost put an end to wicked sorcery in our land. So you see, the law was not a foolish one, but wise and just, and in any event, it is wrong to disobey a law.
Ojo knew she was right, and felt greatly mortified to realize he had acted and spoken so ridiculously. Hi, Tattoo Boy. Hello. Yeah, oh yeah, Glinda, I think, is the real power behind the throne. But he raised his head and looked Ozma in the face, saying, I am sorry I have acted wrongly and broken your law. I did it to save Unk Nunky, and I thought I would not be found out. But I am guilty of this act, and whatever punishment you think I deserve, I will suffer willingly. Ozma smiled more brightly then and nodded graciously.
You are forgiven, she said, for although you have committed a serious fault, you are now penitent, and I think you have been punished enough. Soldier, release Ojo. Soldier, release Ojo the Lucky, and I beg your pardon, I'm Ojo the Unlucky, said the boy. At this moment, you are lucky, said she. Release him, soldier, and let him go free.
The people were glad to hear Ozma's decree and murmured their approval. As the royal audience was now over, they began to leave the throne room, and soon there were none remaining except Ojo and his friends, and Ozma and her favorites. Ooh, I don't think Baum meant to do that. But that parallel, Ojo and his friends, and Ozma and her favorites, as opposed to her friends. Like, it's just... Like, maybe I probably am projecting a lot onto this story that, like, Baum did not intend, but... Like, it's weird vibes. Hi, Jack. Hello. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Yeah, no naturopathy in this land. Okay. The girl ruler. I also hate how he keeps calling her the girl ruler. Like, it's got real, like, girl boss energy. Like, she's the ruler. Just call her that. Like, hey, Bad Wolf. What books am I able to read on stream? I read books from the public domain. Yeah. Which is, like, a huge pool of books. Like, we go through a lot of different genres. The girl ruler now asked Ojo to sit down and tell her all his story, which he did, beginning at the time he had left his home in the forest and ending with his arrival at the Emerald City and his arrest. Ozma listened attentively and was thoughtful for some moments after the boy had finished speaking. Then she said, The crooked magician was wrong to make the glass cat and the patchwork girl, for it was against the law. And if he had not unlawfully kept the bottle of liquid of petrifaction standing on his shelf, the accident to his wife Margalot and to Unk Nunky could not have occurred. I can understand, however, that Ojo, who loves his uncle, will be unhappy unless he can save him. Also, I feel it is wrong to leave these two victims standing as marble statues when they ought to be alive. So, I propose we allow Dr. Pip to make the magic charm, which will save them, and that we assist Ojo to find the things he is seeking. What do you think, wizard? Well, that is perhaps the best thing to do, replied the wizard. But after the crooked magician has restored those poor people to life, you must take away his magic powers. I will, promised Ozma. Now, tell me, please, what magic things must you find? Continued the wizard, addressing Ojo. The 3 hairs from the woozy's tail I have, said the boy,
That is, I have the woozy, and the tails are in, and the hairs are in his tail. The 6-leaf clover, You may take it and keep it, said Ozma. That will not be breaking the law, for it is already picked, and the crime of picking it is forgiven. Thank you, cried Ojo gratefully. Then he continued, the next thing I must find is a gill of water from a dark well. The wizard shook his head. That, said he, will be a hard task, but if you travel far enough, you may discover it. I'm willing to travel for years if it will save Unc Nunky, declared Ojo earnestly. Then you'd better begin your journey at once, advised the wizard. Or use the magic belt. Dorothy had been listening with interest to this conversation. Now she turned to Ozma and asked, May I go with Ojo to help him? Would you like to? Returned Ozma. Yes, I know Oz pretty well, but Ojo doesn't know it at all. I'm sorry for his uncle and poor Margolot, and I'd like to help save them. May I go? If you wish to, replied Ozma. If Dorothy goes, then I must go to take care of her, said the Scarecrow decidedly. Oh, come on, Scarecrow, you just want to bang Scraps. A dark well can only be discovered in some out-of-the-way place, and there may be dangers there. You have my permission to accompany Dorothy, said Ozma. And while you are gone, I will take care of the Patchwork Girl. I'll take care of myself, announced Scraps, for I'm going with the Scarecrow and Dorothy. I promised Ojo to help him find the things he wants, and I'll stick to my promise. Very well, said Ozma, but I see no need for Ojo to take the glass cat and the woozy. I prefer to remain here, said the cat. I've nearly been nicked half a dozen times already, and if they're going into dangers, it's best for me to keep away from them. Let Jellia Jam keep her till Ojo returns, suggested Dorothy. We won't need to take the woozy either, but he ought to be saved because of the 3 hairs in his tail.
He ought to be saved also because he's like a living creature and a citizen of Oz? No, not that. Just better take me along, said the woozy. My eyes can flash fire, you know, and I can growl a little.
I'm sure you'll feel safer here,
Ozma decided, and the woozy made no further objection to the plan. Like, after consulting together, they decided that Ojo and his party should leave the very next day to search for the gill of water from a dark well, so they now separated to make preparations for the journey. Ozma gave the Munchkin boy a room in the palace for that night, and the afternoon he passed with Dorothy, getting acquainted, as she said, and receiving advice from the Shaggy Man as to where they must go. The Shaggy Man had wandered in many parts of Oz, and so had Dorothy, for that matter, yet neither of them knew where a dark well was to be found.
If such a thing is anywhere in the settled parts of Oz, said Dorothy, we'd probably have heard of it long ago. If it's in the wild parts of the country, no one there would need a dark well. Perhaps there isn't such a thing. Oh, there must be, returned Ojo positively, or else the recipe of Dr. Pipt wouldn't call for it. Well, that's true, agreed Dorothy. And if it's anywhere in the land of Oz, we're bound to find it.
Well, we're bound to search for it anyhow, said the Scarecrow. As for finding it, we must trust to luck.
Oh, don't do that, begged Ojo earnestly.
I'm called Ojo the Unlucky, you know. End of chapter. Here's Ojo arguing with the Scarecrow. Honestly, Scarecrow and Scraps are made for each other. Oh my goodness. What an awful group of creatures. Is the Scarecrow getting balder? I think he's always been bald. I just think sometimes he wears a hat. I shouldn't try to speak right after swallowing a bunch of water. Oh man. Okay, well, I feel like that's probably like a good place narratively to pause. The next chapter is called Trouble with the Tottenhots. Okay. Yeah, that is like, that's gotta be intentional on his part. What is Baum doing? What is Baum doing? Gonna try to get some sleep. Hades, good night. Good night. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, so there's the flip coin of humor and horror to be found in the classism, sexism, racism of vintage texts, yet it's important they be preserved for study unaltered. Your heart is that of an archivist. Yeah, so we read books from the public domain here, which means old. We have come across multiple I've been doing this for over 3 years now. We have come across multiple texts that have racism, sexism, all kinds of very archaic and not okay viewpoints. There have only been a couple of what am I saying? Okay. There have only been a couple of occasions where it was like, where we just straight up stopped reading the book. But for anyone who is new here, and also because like I'm now newly streaming on the YouTube channel, just to put that out there, we do tend to we have often paused to, one, acknowledge what is going on in the text, acknowledge like that what is happening there is not okay. We do acknowledge the like the era it was written in, which is an explanation but not something that makes it okay. And we talk about the nuance between, like, sometimes maybe it's a word that now is a not acceptable word, but used at the time would not have been meant in an offensive way, versus instances where it was absolutely meant to be offensive at the time, right? Like, we have had some long conversations about this. I think that it is important to have these conversations, and I agree with you, Imp, that it's important to not just like censor this all out and pretend that none of that ever happened. And I try to find a balance between like acknowledging those things, having the conversations about them, and also like in the cases where we've been like, you know what, let's just move on to a different book, because at the end of the day, this isn't like an English literature class. this is, you know, a comfort stream, right? And so sometimes if it's just like, holy shit, like this is just absolute, like if it's like plot deep, then it's hard to read. This is okay. So we have been getting mad at Baum for a while because of, well, one, just his like kind of shitty writing, but also he has had multiple instances of misogyny. This racism that he has thrown out in this book is like a wild card. Like, this is kind of a new thing for him. I did not expect it, even based on my very healthy degree of judgment that I feel towards Baum. The racism kind of arrives like landmines. Yeah, but like I mean, like, we've read the 6 previous books so far, and he did keep surprising me with like instances of misogyny, you know, just peppered in there. But yeah, this has been shocking. And I still remain unclear about Baum's stance as the writer of this, because he is writing these horrible things about Scraps, but then he turns around and has her be this like kind of empowered character that is so confident and so secure in her own beauty, and so I'm like, well, wait, is Baum, as the writer, not about the narrative itself, but like the person behind it, is he like trying to be supportive, but it's getting lost in some of the like innate racism of the time? Is he trying to be supportive within that context, or is he being terrible? And he's not really providing like it's hard for me to tell. What do you guys think? How is it coming across to you guys? Because at first it seemed like it was going to be very like wait, is he writing like a pro-slavery book? But then Scraps is all like, I'm getting out of here and I'm smart and beautiful and I don't care if you think I'm ugly, I'm going out into the world to be awesome. And your sense of his writing has been benign ignorance, not malice, right? Which again, still not okay, but it's a different flavor of not okay. Like, we're just you think the next chapter is gonna be problematic? Oh god. Anyways, my stance has never been to sweep any of it under the rug, which is why we always address it, and try to let people know that if you ever want to talk about these things, like, we can always have those conversations. I am also nervous about that hate wheel. Yeah, I also am. Yeah, it's healthy to talk about this stuff. It's important that, yeah, like, that these things don't get swept under the rug, and also important to like be able to yeah, distinguish from like a historical standpoint, like the motives or context behind certain framing or language, which again does not mean that any of it is okay. This is very important, right? Like, I feel like a lot of discourse nowadays, particularly online, gets very boiled down into like black and white and everything. And I think it's important to be able to have conversations about things that are dialectical, right? When we're discussing, oh, like what framework was this coming from? Was this person, like you're saying, like coming maybe from a place of ignorance instead of malice? None of that is like excusing it in a way that means that it's okay, right? I want to make that very clear. None of it is like being like, okay, so that means it's okay. It's trying to understand context of things, which I think is really important also to be able to contextualize like the world we live in now, the frameworks that we have going on now. How are those going to change in like 100 years from now? Do you know what I mean? Like, can't we all just get along? Unfortunately, that's never been the way of the world or any human societies. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. But it is, especially when you're just reading like a silly kid's fantasy story, you know? It's like, oh, really? Really? Yeah. Anyway. There you go. There's my little spiel. God, I hope I've made my stance clear. Feel free to ask me to clarify anything. And, look, I guess, so I do cold reading, which means I do not go ahead and read things ahead of time. This chapter title's pretty worrisome. I could peek ahead and see what happens. And if it's really, really horrible, we could either not finish the book, or I could give you a TLDR of that chapter and we can keep going, or something or other. Because again, it's like, these conversations are important. I'm here to have them. I want to have them. I think they're important. And also, this is meant primarily to be like a cozy space. So trying to find that balance is important. Just read the thing. We all know your position. Well, you say that, but I think, and some of you who have been here for a while have heard my position a lot, and we've talked about this at length several times, but like, for instance, this is the first time that this has come up in the history of the YouTube channel, which is very new. It's very important to, like, things get misunderstood and taken out of context, and I feel it's important to talk about it. Also for like any new people coming in to be like, what's the vibe here? It's important to make that clear. Yeah. If it's bad, just do a summary. Okay, yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take a little peek ahead then before Tuesday. I do appreciate that we can have these conversations, though. It's, how do I feel about it? I mean, it makes me deeply uncomfortable and sad, and also, like, I think in this book I've had like some kind of like, what the fuck reactions, because I'm like especially not expecting it from this like silly kids book. that we've already read 6 of them so far in the series. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't one where I was like, let's get into it, but like be primed for like surprise racism to pop out at us. Like, it's not a book that I suspected that. Misogyny, yes, because Baum's already done that several times. Hi Mockingjay, hello. Oh, we're just talking about the Balmer throwing in some surprise racism into this Oz book. So it's been kind of like a what the fuck reaction. But yeah, no, it's like, I don't know, it's like this feeling of like, this is like unreal sometimes. Like, what? Like, did I just read that? Is he actually saying that? What the fuck? Like, it is uncomfortable and sad. Nothing I say is a challenge to you. I might be a bit callous because of whom I regularly talk to in kind of extreme circumstance, but I don't discount the validity of the range of human experience. I don't understand the point you're making there. Misogyny, yes. No, I mean, I expect misogyny from Baum. You're talking about genetics and how to make a chicken mousse? Yeah, don't do that. Oh my god. Oh my god, can you imagine making a goose mousse? It'd be like a Canadian warrior animal. Okay. Alright. I think I'm gonna peek ahead in that chapter and see how fucked up it is. And if I deem it not comfortable for stream, we will skip it. I'll give a TLDR, and I'll also let you guys know so that if you want to read it on your own ahead of stream, you can. Oh, English please in chat. English please, imp. Because otherwise I cannot moderate. Okay, yeah. Anyway, wow. Thanks a lot, L. Frank Baum. We're here for a silly time, and this is what you do. But yeah, thank you to everyone who joined in for the reading time. How many chapters do we have left? Let me see. Okay, we're about to start chapter 19 is the next chapter, and there are 28 total. Okay. All right. So that might be 3 streams left. Children's book? Yes, we have been reading. It's pinned at the top of chat. Mockingjay. The Patchwork Girl of Oz, which is one of the books in the Wizard of Oz series. Yeah. Okay. Alright, yes, so we are going to be wrapping up on the YouTube side, but we will be keeping going. That was weirdly said. We're going to keep going over, oops. We're going to keep going over on Twitch for a little bit. So, is Ozma related to Yzma from the Emperor's New Groove? Wait, I love the idea that Yzma is like just a really old Ozma. Don't leave us. I'm not. We're just ending the YouTube part and the reading section. If anyone wants to come over to the Twitch, I've just popped that into the YouTube chat. So, yeah. Okay. thank you, YouTube. If you've enjoyed this reading and want to catch more, whether you're listening live or listening to this afterwards, if you want to drop a like or a subscribe or a comment or something, that helps, especially as I'm just trying to get this channel off the ground. Yeah, I would appreciate that. All right. Okay. Bye, YouTube. I will be back on Tuesday night with the next part of this book.